Hey, crypto heads, it's the Goose with the Cryptic Paranormal Show. Back for another Thursday. So excited about tonight's show. As usual, right next to me, right over here, we got D Nice. What's happening, D? How are you feeling?
Pretty good. Pretty good. The kids are on spring break, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great. It's great.
It's great. Yeah, imagine. They just went back to school and they're already on spring break.
Right.
It feels like.
And I think they wake up earlier when they're not in school. Like when they're in school, I have to wake them up, and it's a fight. But now they're waking up at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And when I'm at the seminary till 3, it's a little rough.
Yeah. Speaking of the seminary, Flashlight's starting on this weekend, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Yeah.
Yes.
It's been months.
Yeah. So is it everything sold out for this weekend so far?
I think we still have a couple time slots with a few tickets left. So
cool. Everybody needs to be checking out the Medicine Seminary Facebook page, the Mad Crew Facebook page. Yeah. Check out, see what's going on, because flashlights are starting again, which means ghost hunts are starting again. Everything is back in business, finally.
So excited.
Super stoked for that. And down there in the corner, there's Michael, Mr. Heisenberg. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Oh, not much. Everything's going good. Got a new drone today. I told you about that.
Let me get this straight, just so you guys know. He bought a drone months ago, and you actually got it stuck in a tree.
Yes.
Because you were trying to get Aaron, another investigator on our team. You sent your drone on a rescue mission to get his drone out of the tree.
Yeah. My third time flying it ever.
I'd be calling the fire department. No offense, Matthew.
Right.
He's a fire.
Wouldn't be the first time, right?
We thought about using the non-emergency number. We also bought like 80 feet of PVC pipe to try to reach to it. It bends, and it's heavy.
Yeah.
And then Kate was nice enough to say, as long as you don't flying around any more trees, I'll get you another one.
Well, where we're going to be filming now, there's a lot of trees, so we got to figure something out quick. You got to get going.
I got to practice. Like I said, that was my third time going in, and it's just hanging up there like an ornament because I tied a string around mine to lift his up.
Unbelievable, man. That's such. I had to get that story out there because that is freaking funny.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael. I hope you bought one to play with that was less expensive in case this happened to prepare.
Go big or go home, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
I'm sure it's got
the same one. I bought the exact same one, but I am going to go to the middle of the park now, where there are no trees, and at least learn how to fly it.
That's
right. Beginner mode. I didn't even take it out of beginner mode on my drone.
I demolished mine. I couldn't.
Right.
I'd be so mad at myself.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to get one. I already have as much as I love technology, I have such a hard time using it. And I can't imagine flying a $400 camera around in the sky without crashing it or getting stuck.
That's me. That's why I haven't bought one, because I know what I'll do. I'll crash it in a tree, fly it into a lake. It'll be gone in a week. So I know what will happen.
Right.
There's two of them up in a tree out here in the park. So.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to go on a rescue mission. We'll try to figure something out. There's going to be like a 5-year-old kid that's going to scale that tree and get himself a new drone or two.
2 new drones.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. If he could do that, I'll be amazed, because I thought about climbing the tree. Seriously. I seriously did.
And you'd be stuck in the tree.
I would fall.
Then the fire department would be out there, right?
Yeah.
Right? You go get him.
And while I'm laying on the ground, I'll just point up and be like, drone. Can you get that for me, please?
Right. While you're here.
I cracked up when you told me you got a new drone today. I'm like, didn't you just get one like a month or two ago? And you're like, yeah. And that story came out. I'm like, oh my God, only Mike. Only Mike. So anyways, we got, after that awesome open, we got 2 really cool guests today. We got psychic and medium and author, Sky Ray. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good, doing really good. And up there in the other corner, we got Matthew SORGE from SRS Paranormal. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me tonight.
Awesome. Actually, Matt took a little bit of time off of work to be on the show tonight, so hopefully finding this a good night, good time for you. So, worth the time off of work. We
Absolutely.
appreciate it, man. But yeah, let's get right into it. When we have new guests on, especially ones we haven't seen before, we know who you are because we're all in the big paranormal family on Facebook and all the social media, but some of our viewers may not. So we'll start with Sky. Like, what is your origin story? Always go back to the beginning.
Wait, real quick.
Wait, there's a puppy. Time out.
What's the
there's
name
a puppy.
of the dog?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's the most important thing. The dog's name.
This is Clyde. 4 pounds of hell on wheels, a.k.a. Peen. Peen the Ween. That's his nickname. He doesn't know his name by Clyde.
Okay, now we can go back to the
he's
story.
He's not camera shy. He likes to be in the mix, and so does she.
Oh, I didn't even realize there was another animal back there. There she is.
This is my little girl, Sadie. Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, paranormal pets. Paranormal
That's
pets.
right.
We got to have a show.
Yeah, the last
There you
several
go.
weeks, our guests have had their cats or something with them. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love it.
I would bring my dog down, but she doesn't want to be more than like 2 feet away from my wife. So, you know, she'll come to me and sit with me as long as I'm next to Kim on the couch.
Mine has diabetes and cataracts, so it can't make its way out here.
Oh, no.
My boy's 100 pounds. He would like dominate the whole screen, so I don't let him in the room when I'm on there.
Man, Matthew.
Yeah.
I got a 9-pound Yorkie poo that thinks she's 100 pounds.
There you go.
So let's go back to the beginning, Sky. How did this all start for you? Did you notice you were gifted from the get-go when you were young, or just something that developed as time went on? Where did this start?
Yeah. I knew I was different when I was old enough to walk and talk, I guess. I think when I really acknowledged that I could see things that others couldn't was when I lost my first, I had my first death in the family, which was my mom's dad, my grandfather. His nickname was Ducky, and he took care of me. And, you know, I come from an Italian family, so it's nothing for, you know, like extended family members to stay all the time or to live with us.
Sure.
My grandfather lived with my mom and dad, you know, up until he got sick. But my other grandfather, which was crazy, we were all so close, but he would stay also. So he was my first caregiver at a young age. You know, in the summers when I was off school, I would go to the park, and he lived in the assisted living facility. And I grew up in the hood with all the hood rats playing box hockey and, you know, doing all that stuff with him. But I think what I realized, you know, that I was seeing, I didn't realize that my loved ones that I was seeing, others didn't see when I was young.
Oh, okay.
So long story short, when he passed, and I knew that he was gone. I was about 5 years old. He had come to me, and then I realized all the other spirits I had seen prior to that. I thought, you know, that everybody else saw what I saw. I didn't realize that I had a lot that came with me at birth that are still with me today.
Wow.
But that was the first time I really can say that I knew for sure.
Yeah. No,
obviously there's development that needs to happen as you're growing up.
Oh, sure.
And a lot of scenarios and situations have happened in between there, but
how did your family accept that? I mean, is that something you were open with them, or is that something you had to keep to yourself and kind of figure out yourself along the way? Or
well, I was very, very communicative, you know, like I am now. I haven't really changed much. I'm a little bit more brave than what I was when I was younger, but they didn't believe me. It wasn't that it was frowned upon. It wasn't that. It was just kind of, they didn't understand, and they never realized or understood anything I was trying to tell them, or, you know, the weird happenings in the middle of the night, you know. They just, when I was younger, they just brushed things under the rug. Yeah. So I wasn't supported in that sense, but they were opened to listening to me, even if they didn't understand it. So it was what it was, you know. There was a reason for all of it to to lay itself out this way.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, at least they listened. I mean, some families, you never. I mean, we've had guests on with gifts before, and it was a struggle, huge struggle. I mean, I'm not saying it was easy for you because obviously they don't understand. Not many people do understand it, I would think, but at least they allowed you to be vocal about it. I mean, I guess I'm sure that helped. So eventually along the way, did you find somebody who kind of taught you, or was this all self-taught, and like, did you develop your own sense?
I did a lot of my own self-development and work, but I've always had some type of a mentor since I was very young. And when I say very young, I mean about 12 years old. My first mentors were in my books.
Sure.
The books that I went and I read when I was younger was like Sigmund and Freud, Carl Jung. Like I don't know if I understood exactly what it was all saying, but it all tied together, which is weird within my career as it laid itself out over the years with my military, my marketing sense in that aspect, but always strategic and always career driven. And being able to help people intuitively on that level. I think really what was the hardest thing for me was being brave enough to say who I am fully for who I am. And people use labels, and this is society. I'm labeled as a psychic medium. If I'd have it my way, just use my spiritual name, Sky Ray. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're all sensitive and we all have gifts and we all use them intuitively with our jobs every day. If we're in healthcare or there's a heart surgeon or, an artist or a musician, whatever have you. We're very gifted and we're our own snowflake. So it's crazy. It's crazy how things kind of lay itself out. I think I feared judgment so much that it held me back all those years. With really getting out there. But also I had a lot of deep struggle and a lot of self-work and a lot of things that I had to work on with my life and myself. And I think until you really go within and you're able to connect on a deeper level, if you don't heal, how are you going to help other people? Right. And if you can't go through things or you don't go through things, you don't learn, grow, and evolve. How do you put yourself out there as an example or a mentor or just support for somebody? I feel like a lot of people in our field get moved and motivated, in this field, some way, shape, or form, even if you're just interested by, having that passion and that drive to be connected with like-minded people, but then also all of our stories combined. It's a really powerful thing. Right. And a lot of love and support there, that not a lot of us had.
Right.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things about the paranormal community. So many people from so many different walks of life, we all have this one thing that, binds us together. And it's such a cool experience. It's so fun to go and investigate with new people or, meet people at different locations and just hear their stories because everybody is so different. But at the end of the day, we've all got something in common. So
and a lot,
it's a really cool field in that respect. It's so diverse. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that you can be literally states apart and connect with people and build connections and friendships that are more meaningful than some of the friendships I've had for 20 years because of the commonality we have with paranormal. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that statement too, because I mean, guys I grew up with that I would see not like all the time. Since I got into this paranormal community, I've almost gravitated to these people that I've met through what I do as family.
Yeah.
It's just like now there are some that be careful with and protect yourself from. But
stop talking about me.
Yeah, right. Like this guy down in the corner, this Heisenberg guy. I don't know why he keeps showing up. I don't know how he gets on the show every week.
Yeah, I'm smart enough to hack in. I can't even keep my drone out of the tree.
But no, and going back to Sky, we kind of had the same beginning. Unfortunately, I couldn't say anything to my parents because we were in this Christian, but like a sect like that was extremely just.
Cult.
Yeah, it was a cult.
Yeah, yeah, basically, it was very cultish. And if you even mentioned anything but the Holy Spirit or anything paranormal, you were either deemed possessed yourself or insane. One of the two.
Or worshiping Satan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they caught me smoking at church, and I always tell the story. I think it's kind of funny. But they pulled me up in the whole front of the whole congregation, and the pastor prayed for me, and the whole church prayed for me because they caught me smoking a cigarette. So, obviously, I'm not going to take what I'm dealing with at home and all these experiences, these like paranormal experience I'm having at home, which started the whole thing for me. So I start reading the books too. I'm reading Hans Holzer, Lloyd Auerbach, great minds in the ghost hunting field and throughout history. And I kind of settled down, and I didn't realize you could do like paranormal investigation until much later, where I'm like, wow. I mean, I read it in the books, but I thought you had to have like a psychology or a psychology degree or something like that.
Or you had to know somebody or,
Yeah.
No, you could just call the place up and book it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was much later, and I saw an episode of Ghost Hunters. I'm like, okay, I could do this. We can actually go out and do this. And it was kind of, that was the end of that. I mean, that was, or the beginning of that, I should say, the addiction that is now paranormal investigation and all things crazy.
Yeah.
You're all crazy. Thanks, buddy.
And I know that's like a hot topic of debate with people.
Bill.
I was going to say about the TV shows, but I think the TV shows is largely in part why the community is so accepted now.
Absolutely.
I think it's brought us mainstream. So it's, you got to look at the entertainment value of things too. But in reality, I think we're able to do what we do so openly now because of those shows, honestly.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. And I completely agree. Do I agree with what they're putting out on the TV? No, but
I got you.
Because of them, because they were the building blocks for us becoming, like you said, mainstream. It's a good deal, and I appreciate it.
I just kind of put in this perspective. I mean, I'm, like I said, a professional fireman. That's my day job, a firefighter. Correct. I'm sorry. Chicago Fire is an awesome television show, but I can promise you it's not my job. Not even close, so.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
we have that
problem. Oh, go ahead.
Like, I was just talking about like how the mainstream, like I don't wear my dark alley hoodie when I'm going to the store or anything like that because I get stopped. My Kate gets stopped all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I stop anywhere on the way to an investigation, it doesn't matter where I'm at.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, "Oh, you're a ghost hunter?" Like, no, I just like wearing this T-shirt.
I tell them I got it at the Goodwill.
There you go.
Nice.
I mean, literally, right down the street from where we were investigating, I was at a Family Dollar picking up some batteries, and she's telling me how the Family Dollar, which is a brand new building, is haunted. I'm like, well, I mean, it could be something land-based. There's a lot of history here, It's possible, I suppose. I mean, no, I never disagree with anybody until I get anybody. Yeah, it's much more mainstream, and
or it's somebody's spiritual baggage that's working there or visiting.
Yeah,
right.
True. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I never down anybody when they tell me and they pull me aside in the supermarket. I even had a cashier just out of the blue who I didn't even realize she followed me on Facebook. She's like, "Are you the Goose?" I'm like, seriously? like we live in the same town. I'm just on Facebook. I'm nothing. She's like, "Oh, I love white." Yeah, right. Yeah. My wife never worked at Giant Eagle.
No, she worked at Acme.
Yeah, true. But yeah, it's really cool. But the shows had their purpose. We were mainstream, and we are more acceptable now of what we do, and it's really cool. So, but let's get with Matthew. How'd this start for you, man? What's your origin story?
Yeah, so I was a skeptic, and not that I didn't believe that people had experiences. I just never had one for myself. One of the things I do as a hobby that I do for fun is I'm big into metal detecting. I know the old guy on the beach with the flip flops and the whole thing. No, but I like Civil War relics, and I like to relic hunt because of the history. I'm a big history buff. So long story short, in 2005, I was on this farm. There's nothing but this abandoned farmhouse for about 10 acres in all directions. And I get a good signal. And while I'm digging up this signal, I look up at the window and I see a full apparition of a woman looking back at me in a house that's been vacant for over 40 years. And now hundreds of investigations, some of the most haunted places in America, have been doing this for close to 15 years at this point, pretty active after that happened. I've never seen anything that's come close to what I experienced in that moment. So that led to just an interest in the paranormal, which became a passion. And, you know, I started out trying to really figure out what this is. And now I can say with all that experience later, I've got more theories and questions today than I did then. Everything I think I learned leads to something new. And as you know, and as time has gone on, I've actually went from being sensitive to energy. So I went from a skeptic to being sensitive to energy. And now my lovely mentor down there, Sky Ray, is helping me with my own mediumship abilities. So she's my mentor. So
Awesome.
It's kind of crazy how you evolve as time goes on. So,
so what was it that you dug up? Was it something that was possibly
okay?
hers?
So here's the funny part of the rest of that story. So I've got this great signal, right? And I am locked in on this, and I am getting ready to go in here and get this target out and pull it out. And I see this woman. So I did what every grown man does when they see a ghost. I grabbed my shovel, I grabbed my detector, and I ran as fast as I could to my pickup truck and hauled ass out of there because, you know, I was done. So I used to say I got the time to go back to the property, but the reality is 6 weeks later, I got the courage to return to the property. And I never found the target. I never got it. So to this day, I don't know. So I stuck there for a few minutes. I had another experience, and then I was gone. So, and then I had to figure out that I'm going to be a ghost investigator. I better learn what I'm doing. So, yeah, Justin Brown's right. The paranormal finds you. I totally agree with that. Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Justin. I miss you. We haven't had Sunday talks in a while.
Yeah,
that's always interesting when you run. Hey, you know, I can't say anything about Matthew's story. We were in at Bobby Mackey's, and I bitch ran five seconds into walking in there because I heard a right in my ear, and I'm like,
nope.
Just reacted.
She is true.
I ran. It was like slow motion, and I wasn't getting anywhere real fast, and I'm like, I wasn't ready. Okay, I'm good. And then I walked back.
But that's the thing, man. Like we all say that we're going to be all like tough when we see an apparition, but I could probably guarantee you I'm going to run. I might like be trying
Sometimes
to take pictures of it as I'm running. But
I did. So I mean, hey, and I was outside. Here's the thing: she was inside. I was outside, and I still ran. So what does that tell you?
Good one.
But now that's you know, in a nutshell, that's kind of how I got my start. But then I found a group of like-minded people, and my team's a little different. We have some psychic mediums on the team. We have that use the Victorian era methods, and we blend that with modern tech. We have an actual degreed historian who does our research and helps validate our history and our findings when we're doing not only residential work, but even if we're going to famous haunts. And I've got a rather large team. I've got, I guess, 11 people total on my team. So
wow.
That's very cool.
That's a nice sized team.
That's my favorite. I love when people mix, the technology with the medium,
Yeah.
Like
it's good data. I mean, especially if you're getting downloads and then you're getting the information before you get the evidence, like what we had at Bobby Mackey's and at Randolph County.
Yeah.
Me and Matthew, I mean, we've worked together a few times, and when we do, it's a good channeling connection.
Yeah,
and we always get really, really good evidence.
That's awesome.
So it's amazing to see how we can gather that and what we can do with it with research,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think what people don't realize with that is when you start combining those things, you're getting not only your validations, but you're getting secondary and tertiary validations. So you're getting environmental data, you're getting hits on equipment that if you're using your equipment properly, and that's a whole nother topic of discussion, but if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're doing, your due diligence, right? But now you're getting a medium to connect with things, or you're connecting with things with your own ability. You're able to take it further. You're able to get more things than you might have gotten through that session. You stay on a line of questioning. You don't go down so many rabbit holes. And then when you start digging deeper into history, sometimes you find these little nuances that you didn't even realize were so pertinent until you go back and deep dive. And then you go, wow, so that crazy imagery of flowers that the medium was getting was because in the 1920s, the place was for a period of time used as a funeral home. And you didn't realize that, but you've got that validation, right? So you can sometimes, even identify things that way. So we found that adding that element evolved for our team, evolved us to a whole new level. And then when you get the opportunity to work with other mediums and bring other people in and collab with really great people, it's amazing what you can do if you put ego aside and just focus on what we're all in this for, and that's research and furthering this, moving the bar. And if you do that, the results are rewarding.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I'm interested how the two of you met and started collaborating. How did you guys find each other?
Sky?
Paranormal Warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah. Our show that we do weekly, the Gathering, that my team does, we were on that. We were on Paranormal Warehouse for a period of time there, and she called our show, reached out to me. We started, just communicating and talking a little bit, realized we had the same she thought the same way that we work and works the same way our team works. It was a really good fit. So she came down and visited, and we've just really hit it off and been great friends ever since. And then I took a couple of her classes and then started my journey on that side, furthering that journey. I was already starting down that path on my own anyway, a little bit because of what was happening with me, but taking her classes was really, really a big help for me already. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're getting ready to. We're working with a bunch of people to throw a collaboration together here soon for a summit to help educate and teach people.
Awesome.
So we have Jeremy Leonard, we have Jill Jackson, psychic medium. We have Charlotte Underwood from the UK, Matthew and myself going into a summit in May, and then Matthew and I are starting classes. Hopefully we can do April, but I'm going to be traveling there and then back to Mississippi and possibly Las Vegas with Justin the end of April. So we're going to try to squeeze in a date and a time for our individual classes that we have going to for the paranormal field. I want to bring more people from the paranormal field into my world and show how much we are similar and show how we can help each other. And that's kind of the last class Matthew got out of training with me, and then he realized how strong his gifts are. So that was the neat thing, because it helps during the investigations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was watching an interesting documentary on Netflix. I don't know if anybody's seen it. It's called Surviving Death. They did like a whole 2-episode section in the series about psychic mediums, and there was one on there. Yeah, there was one lady on there, one psychic that was doing like private readings out of her home. That really, she said something that struck a chord with me, and she said, "People really don't need me. They can find these connections themselves. They just need to learn how to get to that point."
Yes, and this is true. This is why I teach. This is why I mentor. This is why I open up my group for cleansing, meditation, healing. I mean, it's a lot of work and there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into that. But I'll tell you, it's the most rewarding thing that you can ever do, because you're connecting everybody, but you're also showing them how to go within. And that's kind of like the first part of my book. I go through all of that, and I share my personal experiences, my stories, my challenges, my triumphs, and all of it, a little bit throughout with short stories. Then I do teachings in the first part. I have resources for meditations to help people. So there's a lot of bonuses in that. And then the second part's about the paranormal, to educate people, especially with children, school systems, the medical field. I have a big background in all of that. So educate, formal and informal experience, but it's nuts. When you can combine all that with all of us and all of our experiences, that makes powerful people together. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I want to throw this up there. This is your book. Let me get rid of the comments there for a second. Find your voice in the darkness. Shine your light to serve your soul purpose. I love that title.
Thank you.
That's very catchy, and it's something that I would want to pick up and read.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Took me about 2 seconds to name it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came to me. I mean, it was, I was being helped.
You guys can find it on Amazon, or you can hit the link that I just put up there, mediumskyrayE.com, and order it there.
It's I know when I got the copy of it and read it, I read it straight through. It's and knowing her, of course, it's kind of personal experience anyway. But I think it's the kind of book, and I just want to say this about it: whether you're on this path or not, or whether you're in this field or not, there's something in that book for everybody that you can resonate with in life. So if you do pick it up, you should pick it up, and when you do, make sure you leave a review about it, because I think you'll be really be moved by the authenticity of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty amazing. I think it's something. I don't know. They must be having a party upstairs. Sorry, my wife's kids are up there screaming and hollering. I don't know what's going on. But, that's why I have to use these to keep them out. But it sounds really
work that well.
No, I could. They're really hooting and hollering up there. But it's something I'm going to pick up and read myself, because I'm kind of, I think, where Matthew was at, maybe when he started that journey. You know, when I first started this, you know, it was about trying to get to the science, which is still very important. It's still important to do things methodically with, you know, scientific thought and process. Can you build this into a science? Not sure. Because also, like you said, every time I have a question, I try to get it answered by researching. I end up with more and more questions.
Yeah.
So very hard. But as I've been doing this for so many years now, I find myself on that more of a spiritual journey myself. Like, I'm feeling things. I'm starting to see things now.
Yes.
You know, I'm walking into rooms and I don't need my EMF detector. I could tell there's an energy that is just not normal. You know what I mean?
100%.
100%. So, I mean, it's go ahead.
And Justin just had a great comment that he put up there, that you had up there a second ago. He just hit the nail completely on the head, because that is literally my journey was the same way. After several years in the field of trying to do what, you know, we all do, same thing you said, Goose, you just start understanding this energy, and this, it really leads you down a whole different path. And you just know what's going on, and you know you're right, and you know you got it. And it's, I don't think it's something that we can translate. I don't think it's something that science can translate.
Right.
I just think we got to be methodical and good in how we do it and document it, to validate it and get the validations, not necessarily for us because we know, but for people to be able to stand up to people's scrutiny.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's hard too. I mean, I would imagine that it's a hard thing to teach people, which obviously you're very good at it, but just from what I see, you know, just because like the flowers that you mentioned, maybe it comes across to me as flowers because the woman's name was Iris or her name was Lily or something, you know. Right. And so to you, you're getting flowers because it was a funeral home, or, you know what I mean? So I think that, you know, with everybody that I've spoken to that has these abilities, like everything comes across differently. And so it's something that is hard to teach people and to understand, and especially from a scientific standpoint, just because it's so different for everyone.
Right. I think we can go in investigating with a scientific method approach, and then having your environments, you know, changed up for whatever you're doing, like which Matthew can get into the tech stuff of that, which we did for the Field of Fears. But the metaphysical part and that knowing, that claircognitive, you know, claircognizance, you just, when you start trusting, you know, that intuition and your gut feeling that much, that you just know.
Yeah.
You just know beyond, you know, shadow of doubt, whatever, what you're getting. It's trust in yourself and belief in yourself first, and then learning how to believe enough that we are supported on the other side, that we are much bigger than the shell, right? We have a soul. And when I connect with souls, they don't see Sky's body. They see Sky Ray, my soul. And that is my colors, and that is my experiences. This is what my etheric field is showing. So when a certain spirit comes to me, it may not come to Matthew, because Matthew doesn't have that frame of reference for that soul to say, this is what I know, because I've experienced this in my life.
That makes sense.
The more hardship, the harder your life is. There's a reason for that. And I have to say, I've had a shitty roll here and there. You know, I've had a lot of tough times, but by damned, I got through them, and I was inspired, and I was motivated, and now I inspire, and now I motivate, and now I try to do what I can do. You know, we have an energetic connection to all things, and also, you know, the objects, like with money and manifesting. And if you can really detach the physical 3D part of that, and you connect it with your thought, and you realize how powerful the mind of thought and your heart and your feelings, when you connect these two together, how much you can really do. And it's a beautiful thing to watch happen. Especially when you're teaching and mentoring others and you see it happen, and it's rapid. And I always say, when people come and work with me, you guys, they're ready to go within 30 days. They're rock and rolling. Like, they get it. They get that shit. And I'm like, I'm amazed. I'm blown away. And listen, it doesn't even always need to be a spiritual thing. It could just be launching their business. This is my second global business, you know, and I can get people from A to B, but I'm realistic. I'm a normal human being. I'm not all woo woo and like out there. I'm very, very down to earth, and I say how it is. There's no filter with me, but I will show you and teach you what I've learned by me making all those mistakes prior to learning the way to master these things. And I think that's where I see where I come in. But sometimes I don't, just like all of us, we have our own self-doubt. That's your noisy neighbor in your head, I call it. Get out of your head and just do it. You take action. That's all you got to do.
And I think it's kind
of go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's kind of interesting. You hit, Sky mentioned something that, you know, I see a lot, not only in the paranormal. I mean, you see it, or not only in the paranormal, but even on the mediumship side and the psychic side. First off, there's this ideology that, well, I'm right and your methods are wrong, which I think is one of the things we've got to stop. If we ever want this to progress, this field, that's got to end. You know, you can learn from other people. Just because they do something different than you doesn't make you right or them right. Do what works for you. You know, be true to you, be true to your path, be true to yourself, and do what works for you. But I also see the point that I think Sky made, that for people that maybe aren't on the same path as some of us, or not experiencing some of those things, because it's not a meter going off, because they're not getting that validation, they dismiss that. And I kind of like to think of it this way. The reason that sometimes some teams have experiences and other teams don't, it may not even be because that team is better than this team. That's garbage. It's the spirits choose who they want to communicate with. Think of being 100%. A living person. You walk into Walmart and there's a person over there that you just don't really connect with. And I'm not picking on Walmart. I'm just using the box store as an example. But you know, you just don't.
We always use Walmart stories.
I know, right? Isn't that weird? It's just like a thing. We just all go to Walmart automatically, I guess. But
it's such a melting pot of all cultures.
Right.
Maybe that's why, right? I mean, we all seem to do that. There's a like an underlying current there. But you know, there's somebody that you just don't click with. So you just don't talk to them. You avoid them. I think spirits work the same way, because I think if we are dealing with human spirits, which we think we are, know we are often, not always, but often. You know, they are in death as they were in life. Just, you know, if Jack the Ripper was Jack the Ripper in life, do you expect him all of a sudden to be a priest? It's just not going to happen. He is what he is, and always will be what he was. And I think that's why sometimes some of us get things and some don't. I think you can take 10 of the best psychics in the world and put them in a room. They're not all going to get the same stuff. It just doesn't work that way. And you got to respect that.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. All that different info.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because we can always tell, you know, I always say that I feel like people who have abilities and people who are empaths, like, they have a target, and maybe it's not an actual target, but maybe it's what you're talking about with, you know, their colors and everything. But you can tell when they walk into the building that they're the ones that are going to have the experiences. You know, and everybody else on the team might be like, oh, it was a really quiet night. But this person's like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on here. Just because
you were so right.
Yeah, they pick them out, and they're like, oh, they're like a beacon. Like, oh, that one can hear us. Let's go talk to her. You know,
and see, and you're so right, because my team has everything from sensitives to mediums to empaths. We have all my people on my team have some form of gifts, and it's crazy. It's crazy what we can pull. And then we bring energy like Sky into the mix. It's insane what we can do when we start interjecting all these different energies. So yeah, you're spot on and why that happens.
Yeah. Justin had a good statement down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connection is key.
Justin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Matthew connecting to the physical history in the ground may had been the moment he connected to the time period where the women or the woman in the window came from. Yeah, absolutely.
Justin, I absolutely agree. I have thought about that so many times. Why that moment? And I think what he said earlier is spirit chooses you. That is 100% true. I was picked that day for this path. That was my wake up. That was my, hey, you, it's your turn. So that was that moment. And he's right. I think that's the connection.
I feel like you need to, can you go back there? Because I feel like,
yeah,
I mean,
so
who knows? That could have been a gun that would have solved a 100-year-old murder or something. And
you never know. I have tried to go back there. Unfortunately, the farm changed hands, and the new farmer tore down the house, removed everything from it, cleared the land, and planted crops on it. So it's gone, and it's sad because I mean I know that essence is still there, but the physical connection part is gone, and it was really it's kind of crazy. Actually, I'm working on our book. My team's working on its first book, and I write a big chapter about that particular section. And it was really like a time capsule. Despite part of the roof falling in on that place, it was like frozen in time. I mean, down to the rusty old farm equipment. It was literally a time capsule. And I wonder what would have happened if I had had the opportunity to go back and really investigate it and really connect what might have happened, what I might have learned. Because I think we learn every time we go somewhere.
Right.
For sure.
That's so cool. I mean, she definitely was trying to tell you something, you know, trying to get a message across. And maybe it was just, hey, pay attention. We're here, you know.
Because at that point, I could not have been more closed. I mean, a ghost could have walked in and gave me a wedgie and I would have totally denied it. I mean, that's where I was at that point in time. So for that
and ran again.
That level. Exactly. Yes. And ran again. Of course, I would absolutely ran. But then I would have totally dismissed it.
Right.
It would have been a different kind of running, but he would have ran.
Exactly.
I think, too, D-Nice, like what you were saying with the spirits, I think that we have the more that we let go of how it's going to happen and unfold, and kind of let them do their thing, and we're just the vessel, and don't have the expectation, just the intention to help. I think that really helps to open it up. Right.
Yeah.
So you made a good point there.
Yeah. It's been interesting for me. You know, I had experiences when I was little and my mom was not accepting of it. You know, it was always, oh, you're tired. Oh, it's just your eyes playing tricks on you. You know, I see a man standing there, like I can describe him to a T. And my mom's like, oh, you're just sleepy. You know what I mean? So like, I kind of shut everything off. But since I started volunteering at the seminary, you can't ignore the paranormal anymore, you know, and I'm starting to open things back up. But at the same time, I'm scared to death to do it because I don't want to see full body apparitions.
You don't want to run down the hall?
No.
D, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did you used to sleepwalk when you were younger?
I don't think so.
Did your mom like ever tell you like about you like sleepwalking? I'm just asking because it just came up. So I'm wondering if somebody here was experiencing that when they were younger. It just came in my head.
I would talk in my sleep, like have conversations.
You would talk in your sleep?
My brother would sleepwalk.
Your brother would sleepwalk. He was the sleepwalker. Your brother is a medium too.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. Okay. Because I saw a vision of somebody in your home like sleepwalking, and that's usually like a sure sign. Listen, I used to almost walk out of my house every night.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. My mom would catch me. It'd be like 3, 4 in the morning. Like if I'd bring her on here, she'd be like, yeah, I found her in the basement in pitch black. I'm just down there talking with people and doing my thing. Like, I was just in a different dimension. My body was just doing what it needed to do. I don't know.
I wonder if it's my youngest son, because he's the one who he sleepwalks, but he's the one who will come out of his room and he'll go, Mommy, it felt like somebody was holding my hand, but there was nobody in there. Or we were just at the seminary the other day.
Well, listen, this is what I'm getting. Like you all are sensitive, like your whole family. Like that's, I don't know. You don't know this, but they were all sensitives. Like you have it in your lineage. But yeah, keep an eye on your son and his guides. And when this happens, our guides take us, you know.
Yeah.
Our guides will take us.
I know.
I was safe.
Your book now.
Although I was walking out of the house.
Yeah, we had to put an alarm on his door because he would just get up and just go wherever. He would just walk all over the house, and I was scared he was going to like leave and get hurt. You know, our road is 45 miles an hour. We're in the middle of nowhere. You know, so I was worried about him. So we had to put an alarm on his door because he would do it so frequently.
So I just wanted to see where the connection was because I saw it playing in my head.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that would be him.
Just keep an eye out. He's going to really open up.
Yeah, he really has over the last like probably only like 2 or 3 months even. He's been, you know, like, oh, I thought I saw somebody in there, or I swear somebody was just following me, but there's nobody behind me. You know, he says stuff like that all the time. So I'm trying to keep an eye on it. Luckily, I'm surrounded by it all the time, so I kind of know what to look for.
He'll be all right.
Yeah,
and he has you to encourage him and support him. So
yeah, and see that's such a hard thing for a parent because you don't want to, you know,
all you got to do
is
handle listen to them.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And you believe them, and you already do. So you're doing everything
so I just
right.
go, oh wow, that's crazy. That's my response. I don't know, you know,
and it can creep you out. I write about some scenarios, and then my second book that I'm writing, there's going to be a lot more, but. I get it, girl. Like, my son used to scare the crap out of me.
Yeah. And you don't like, are you supposed
to be when you're like faking in a dead sleep and they're like, somebody was just with me and I seen a whole line of dead people and I'm like, what is going on in my home? Like, it was nuts. It was nuts. Absolute madness.
Yeah. So I don't want to discourage him, you know, because that's what happened to me. And then everything kind of shut down for me. So I don't want to do that. But I don't know if you're supposed to like, you know, are you supposed to ask him, oh, well, what did she look like? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I just go, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
you
what I was
can,
going
you can try to talk further. It's not going to hurt anything.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always been a point of contention with what I do with my wife and kids. Like how, and I know I feel that my youngest has some ability because she was also, it was weird. Like she was a sleepwalker, but she was also kind of conscious at the same time, like kind of an awake sleepwalker, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like she would just get up and she would do her thing. But when you try to talk to her, she was like in another world.
Yes.
But her eyes were open and she was functioning.
That's how I was.
Yeah. It was the weirdest thing.
It's creepy to watch too.
Yeah. And it's,
you know, my mom's like, oh my gosh, you were weird. You scared me.
Yeah. You did the weird thing again, Sky. Can you stop?
And when Kate was like pacing in front of my bed one time when we first started going out, she was pacing back and forth. And I was like, all right, if she comes near me, I'm taking her down. Because, because like she was going back and forth. And it was just after I saw that Paranormal Activity 3 with her.
Oh, God.
So I was like, if she comes near me, it's done. I'm going to take her out.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Interesting, huh?
Yep.
You know, I think it makes you wonder too. I mean, you think about society as in general. I think shuts this stuff down, whether it be for religious reasons or cultural reasons or whatever. But I mean, it's like, you know, the imaginary kid thing, the imaginary friend thing. The first thing is no, that's not real. It's in your head. You're making this up. It's this, it's that, and I think that society really pushes that down. Yeah.
It starts as soon as you start school. Listen, I had counselors my whole life. They all thought I was crazy, batshit crazy. The stories I tell them, I just come out, blah, 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 blah. This is who I saw, and this is what they told me. And they're like, well, who is that? And I'm like, well, it's this dead person, you know, and I didn't care. I didn't give a shit if they believed me. I would say it like it was. And they're all like, okay, well, you know, they didn't know how to talk. And you know, the sad thing, how many years later, 35 years later, you know, I see it with my own children in the school systems. Yeah. And I write about this too in that second part, you know, in the medical system, in the medical field, like this approach and what they do and what they claim, and then the misdiagnosis that goes on. which is really concerning because I've seen that several times. But remember, I do have a background in that field. I worked with a psychiatrist. You know, my last job was a case manager. My last job that I had, a boss. You know, and I've dealt with a lot of weird things. I've experienced a lot of weird things. And one thing that I will never shake is having someone that does the intake in a mental hospital sitting there saying, this is unnatural. This is not human. I don't know what I'm seeing. I can't explain what is happening right now. Okay.
Yeah.
And she totally shifted her beliefs on one situation, one incident that she witnessed. Okay. And then it was on like Donkey Kong. Then I was like, wow, they aren't diverse, even though they ask you, are you spiritual?
Right. Yeah.
For people, you know, that have, they're not schizophrenic if they're talking to somebody that they do see and hear.
Right.
But there are schizophrenics that are there that cannot function, you know, that need medicine, but get your shit straight. Like, I think psychic mediums need to be in the school system, in the medical field for these situations. You know, priests too.
Yeah.
Priests too. Like I firmly, because, you know, there's not just one religion, there's not just one spirituality, but the commonality of all of those is we all pray to something greater. We all have beliefs, and it doesn't matter what we believe, as long as we respect others' beliefs and they're not hurting or harming anybody, then but it needs to be brought together in society so that we can get past the stigmata of all of this crap, because our kids are suffering, you know.
Yeah,
for sure.
At a young age, they can't develop, or they get broke down because people say they're lying or don't believe them or
Yeah, one of our good friends, her parents basically, you know, wrote her off as having mental disabilities because she, you know, was talking to people who weren't there or seeing people that weren't there. Like, never mind the fact that this child is telling you everything about your grandfather that passed away before they were born, you know, it doesn't matter.
No way they could know that information.
Right. But then, you know, they get brushed off as being crazy or having a good imagination, you know.
It's sad. And then imagine suppressing all that and not speaking or not saying anything that you're experiencing, and you hold all that in all that time.
Yeah.
What's it going to do?
I mean, and
you're either going to
like,
destroy yourself, self-sabotage, because you're not being true to who you are, but because of the negative, you know, influence and the non-support that you've had your whole life. This is now something you have to break yourself from, that pattern, those old, you know, the old ways.
And especially when it's coming from, you know, your most trusted adults, you know, the people that you care about and look to for advice the most in your life, you know, your parents, your teachers, your doctor, you know, when they're the ones who are telling you that you're wrong and you're not seeing that, you're not feeling that, you know, that's crushing for a child.
Yeah, these are the people that are shaping you into the person.
Pray for them.
Right. Yeah.
I always say God doesn't know why people do and say the things that they do, but they don't know any better. And that's okay, because sometimes it's just not their way or their path. But don't put that. Don't put your judgment or your opinion on somebody. Be open.
Don't impose your beliefs. Exactly.
Yeah. That's what's
and
hard.
we live in a time now where, you know, like, say my son is seeing things that maybe I don't understand. Maybe I don't believe in ghosts. Maybe whatever. We live in a time now where all you have to do is do a Google search and you could find someone who can help them. You know what I mean? So there's no more excuse for it. Like when I was growing up, if you didn't know somebody who was a psychic, you maybe wouldn't know where to find one or, you know, somebody that could mentor your child. But now there's no more excuses.
You called that 1-800 number at midnight.
There you go, right?
Leo.
With the advent of Google, ignorance should cease to exist, right? I mean, ignorance should no longer be allowed. I mean, it's 5 minutes away from anything, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We have the world at our fingertips. We just use it wrong.
I mean, us, you know, us old people used to have to go like an actual library and get things called encyclopedias to do stuff. I mean, that's how we used to roll. We didn't have Google, right?
Right?
Yeah.
I forget I have Google half the time. Google that shit.
Yeah. I have to go to the big card file system.
Right.
Figure out which letter it is.
Periodic table and have to go through the
decimal system.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, Dewey Decimal. I said periodic table. That's chemistry. Sorry, I was on the wrong thing. Yes, Dewey Decimal System. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, my kids would probably be lost if they didn't have technology to look everything up.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you know, I guess on the one side, it's nice because they don't expect me to know everything. So, hey, Dad.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I mean, I look at their math the way they do it now with the Common Core stuff, and I don't think I could. I don't think I could
Where they
figure
break
it
it
out.
down 12 steps to get to an answer I can do in my head.
Right.
Yeah. See, I'm the opposite of Sky on Google because, like, when my daughter asked me, she's 15 now, and she asked me for homework help.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm on a 3rd grade level apparently because she'll bring stuff home laid out, and I'm like, "What the hell is this? Hang on a second. Let me get my phone." Yeah. Oh yes, now we can talk about this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And thankfully, there's a YouTube video for everything, so you can actually watch somebody teach you how to do it.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah. Yep. We actually
had because of YouTube.
Yeah. Maybe you should learn to play a drone on YouTube.
There you go.
Oh, come on.
That's our high-speed downloads, YouTube.
Yep. There might even be one about when there's trees in the area. What you should do.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I had a furnace that was way past what I should have been using it, and thank God for YouTube. I saved a lot of money keeping it about 5 extra years longer than we thought it was going to last. So,
good stuff.
I mean, look at all the good ghost hunting you can learn on there too.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did YouTube stuff that we're not supposed to do to get the drone out of the tree. So we did use YouTube.
See?
There you go.
There you go.
I think the number one thing was don't fly another drone into the.
Was that your wife back there laughing?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
That is funny. Oh my gosh.
Thank the Google gods. Yep.
The kids tell me like 100 times a day, Google it, because they'll ask me a question. And it's usually like some ridiculous math problem, you know, and I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm in the middle of doing something. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they'll just be like, hey, Google. Like they'll ask Google.
Yeah.
Like it just came up. How can I help you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, my daughter would come, my youngest daughter would come up with the word problems from math.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I could figure it out. I'd write the numbers down and it's like, but that's not how you're supposed to do it. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, you're supposed to make this graph and chart these by tens. And I'm like, no, that's not how you do it.
When we were doing homeschooling, like we were doing virtual learning. Geez. Okay. So my 4th grader is working on a math problem. And, you know, I show him what I think that I learned from the YouTube video and he got them all wrong. So
that would have been me.
Yeah.
I still have been there, Dee. Like, I get it. Mine are older now. I'm glad those days are over, but oh my goodness, I remember. So I've done it.
And my 4th grader are sitting here on a meeting just like this. And I have a chalkboard in my room. And so I have the problem up on the chalkboard and the teacher's like, no, Mom, the 1 doesn't go there. It goes over 1, you know, and she's walking me through how to do these 4th grade math problems because it just doesn't compute to me. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't understand
Who invented this way? Because math's been around for years and I don't remember.
Yeah, I know. It's insane. And
then
let's
try to confuse our kids more.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the word problems don't make sense. I mean, because like you read it and it's like, that's not even in there. So what are you asking me here? Could you just said, what is this plus this equals that?
Right.
You know? It's insane. Yeah.
We got shit easy and simple. That's all we care about.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Just want to touch on what Justin said about the technology in Star Trek Next Generation. I was the same way. I was a huge, especially Next Generation. I was the biggest Trek nerd would ever meet, and I would sit there and see Picard with his computer pad. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool. Mm-hmm. And not even a few years later, we have them. We got our iPads. I mean, our phones are like a quarter to the size of that pad he was using on Star Trek.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, we're so
crazy,
lucky,
isn't it?
you know. And it's you know, I still think we have an alien ship somewhere, and that's how we're getting such progressive
You look
technology
at
so quick.
Historically, I mean, yeah, you look at the last 100 years, how much we've evolved in all these aspects in 100 years. Imagine what we're going to be like 100 years from now at the rate stuff is progressing. It's going to be insane.
I'll be a naked ghost running around hunting everybody.
There is that. So there you have it. Yeah, that's one of the silly questions we ask over there is if you could come back and you got to choose your ghost outfit, what would it be? And Sky has the same answer.
You don't need one. What the hell do you need one for?
Exactly. That's what, I saw a cool meme though today. This is kind of relevant to what you guys are talking about Zoom meetings.
If they do, hi, surprise.
Yeah, exactly, right? But I saw this cool meme today and it said that Zoom is modern day seances. Because we're all saying, hey, can you do something that we can hear that you're there? Can you do something so that we can't see you? We can't hear you. Can you see us? I just got so cracked up when I saw that because it's just like so true in today's time.
That is true.
Oh my gosh.
Barb actually went and Googled Common Core and where it came from.
I'll
put that up there in case anybody wants to check that out. Well, Matt, I wanted to talk about your team's project. You guys got a documentary that you just filmed, and I know you collaborated with Sky on the project as well, with some other people from outside the group. Why don't you give us what you can? I know it hasn't released yet, so you can't give us everything, but kind of give us the general idea. And I actually got a 5-minute clip I'm going to play.
Yeah, and that clip and that clip is not an official trailer. It's actually what we put together before we went as a concept reel. So it's just kind of it talks a little bit more about bringing the unique people together to do this project. So long story short is my team went in September to Randolph County Asylum, and I wasn't able to go with them. And when they came back, they were like, man, it's off the chain. You got to go. You're going to love it. It's incredible. We got to go back. So we decided to go back. We had been talking about, going on, taking Sky on the road with us to go somewhere. And we were collaborating with her with that. And so in talking and thinking about it and just going through the motions, we decided, okay, let's try to do something with this. Let's maybe try to make a documentary out of it. So what do you do when you've never done a documentary, right? You don't just pick what you know how to do. You pick the hardest thing that you can possibly do. Try stuff that has never been attempted before. Then you throw it all together and then you figure out how to do it on the fly. And then you go, wow, look at this. We need to do this. And it's going to cost all this money. So now what are we going to do? All right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to partner. We're going to take myself, my lead investigator, and my lead psychic medium. We're going to launch our own production company. So we actually went and launched our own production company. Shadowwork Productions is our production company. So that we could produce, direct, and do the whole shooting match for the film. And hired a professional cinematographer, professional audio folks, and did the whole 9 yards, right? So we wanted to go big or go home. And it's just like, chasing the never flying a drone and going after the one in the tree. That's how you do things. I get this.
That's right.
So that was the idea, was like, let's do this. So it just progressed into bigger and bigger and bigger. And long story short, what we ended up doing and what we ended up bringing together to do this was we brought in J.W. Prather. And if you're familiar with, you may or may not be familiar with J.W. Prather, but he builds devices that are ghost boxes or spirit boxes, but they're called, his technology is a little different. It's the IDC Direct Link is what he's probably most known for. It's one of like 40 different devices he actually builds. But if you've ever watched Ghost Adventures, they use the Direct Link quite often on his show. It's different than a traditional spirit box. A traditional spirit box, and I'm not knocking spirit boxes, I'm just saying how they work. They scan 300 frequencies in a linear fashion, and they do it in 200 kilohertz steps. What Jay does is build unique devices that are actually over, like a particular box of his that I have that's a direct link, has over 3,000 frequencies. It scans them completely randomly, and it will not lock in hard on strong radio signals. In fact, it deliberately dumps them.
Nice.
And the other thing is you use your energy. So it's like a digital Ouija board. When you connect to that box, and this is all going to be relevant to the documentary in a second, you'll see where I'm going. When you put your energy in that box, you're actually, what you're getting, what's coming through you through spirit is now actually going into the box as well to aid that spirit communication. So it is pretty crazy. What does he say in there? Most location? Yes, it's an awesome place.
Yes,
and that
Justin.
is, yes, you are correct, Justin, 100%.
Wow.
So what we wanted to do with this, when we got to talking to Jay, and I was working with Jay when we were still on Paranormal Warehouse, we decided we were going to do an experiment, and it was before this project came along. This is the first time I worked with Jay, and the stand-up guy at Jay he was supposed to come on our show, and he's like, man, I'm doing a thing at the Conjuring House. We're going to be there doing a live event, and I'm not going to be able to, I still want to come on the show. I was like, man, we'll reschedule. He's like, no. I want to do it. He said, let's do something crazy. I was like, okay. So we did direct link experiments at our home haunt, the Nickerson Sneed, which our lead psychic medium owns. Sky came down with us and investigated there, and we did a show with her there as well. But anyhow, we went live, and we were actually starting spirit communication at the Nickerson Sneed and trying to get answers at the Conjuring House. So we were virtually linking the two locations together. And it was a cool experiment. Now, unfortunately, we were running off of MiFi, so we had some issues tech-wise, but we did get some really cool interactions between both places. That's really cool. That was the start of like the collaboration with Jay. So when this project came up, called him and said, hey, man, you want to come with us to RCI? We're thinking about doing this documentary. What do you think? He's like, hell yeah, let's do it. So what we did is we took something that he builds called the IDC Lab. We literally turned the entire Randolph County Asylum, which is 58,000 square feet, into a real-time live spirit communication. We had satellites set up all over the place that were scanning for real-time live EVP and real-time spirit communication the whole time we were doing controlled experiments. We did a traditional seance that our lead psychic medium led, where we actually put her voice through the entire 58,000 square feet. We placed people like Sky by herself as a psychic medium down in the basement, in the furthest part, in the cooler.
And he was the only one that did that.
You were, and you were a rock star. I'll give you absolute props for that. So we put all these people in these locations to see what we would get. Plus, Jay was then bringing all these audio feeds back in so we could monitor in real time and see what we were getting. If we were getting an EVP where we knew nobody else was, where's that coming from? And then we had, he had down to sound meters where we knew if it was in the room or outside the room. So it was very tech heavy along with the others. So we did another really cool experiment. We did a spirit circle with Sky where she actually used a direct link. Myself and her and Dan Allen sat at the table, and we did the same thing, but more of a digital version of a spirit circle or seance. So we did stuff like that. And then Justin Spurrier was with us as well. Oh, nice. Justin Spurrier works on one of the shows as the lead tech guy. Spurrier Paranormal. He's a fantastic guy. He is very gifted and talented, not only as a researcher, as a veteran researcher, but with his own abilities to connect with spirit. We instantly connected in planning the project, all of us. When we got to RCI or Randolph County Asylum and we started filming, it just really worked. And it was next level stuff. It was fantastic. It was a great experience. I'm very excited about it. It was a pleasure to not only work with these talented folks within my team and these talented folks we brought in, but to direct this group of people on my first project. Directing on something that scale was phenomenal. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. So that's cool. It in a nutshell. I don't know if that gives you guys what you're asking for.
Awesome. Cramming 5 days and 2 days and 20 degrees. It was awesome.
Yeah, we did. We were on location.
You guys in the meat cooler where I was sitting by myself.
We literally were on set for 20 hours a day for 2 days.
Yeah,
we literally were. It was insane.
And we couldn't go home. We couldn't go back. We had to investigate more too. So
yeah, absolutely.
It was
fun.
All right,
we're going to play this clip. It's not, like I said, it's not a trailer. It's just something you put out, kind of an idea before you guys actually got the filming process done, but gives everybody a good idea what's going on. Really cool. And I'm going to play it real quick for everybody.
I don't know.
Oh, now I hear you.
Yeah. We'll just keep Heisenberg muted. We'll see how long it takes him to notice.
Oh. I was fine.
What happened, Goose? We can't hear you.
Did we have audio? Was the audio playing while the video clip played? Because I didn't hear any audio.
No, I didn't hear any audio.
Yeah,
no, we can't hear Goose either.
We've lost Goose.
No.
He's silent.
Can you hear me?
Now
Yeah,
we can. There you are.
Oh, man, you guys should have just played along with it a little bit longer.
Oh.
Oh, I am super sorry about that, guys. I have no idea what happened there.
I know I saw you trying to hit the sound thing with your arrow.
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on?
See, it would not be a live show without technical difficulties.
I know, right?
Absolute fact. See. So anyhow, I mean, the video part is it's just kind of showing us bringing these people together is really what the purpose of that was, and it was to put something on for the GoFundMe so people understood the concept of the project. But the really cool thing about this project, I think for us, and I think Sky would really agree, and if you asked anybody involved in the project, when you start really getting and connecting with the energies of a place like that, and you start really understanding what that must have been like, and I'll use one of the people that is, there's two stories from the asylum that are part of the stories in the documentary that we're telling. The Field of Fears isn't about scary paranormal activity. It's, can you imagine if society deemed that you were just different and didn't want you, and they locked you in a place like that? Can you imagine being 11 years old, losing both of your parents in a car accident, like in the case of Doris Addington, and from the age of 11 to 86, you don't know anything, but living in a place like that, that is where you spend your entire existence. Now, she was able to leave and go out and do things, but her family didn't want her. She was too old to be adopted. So that's where she spent her life. That's the story here. That's what we're trying to tell, is that, you know, we get to come and visit this place and have these experiences, and we did off the chain experiments, and that part's all well and good too. But the real story here is those stories, those people, and those energies that are still there. They still linger there. And can you imagine that that's maybe the reason they do is because it's the only life they ever knew. So that's the kind of the premise of the film, kind of what we're working on.
And I love that so much. You know, I say that I got roped into the paranormal because I went to Madison Seminary and I stayed for the history. You know, I am a tour guide there. I love telling the stories. And part of the way that I'm able to do that is because of research that we do, you know, when we do investigations there. And I don't do regular investigations like most people do. You know, I walk in and I go, what was this room used for? You know, do you like these flowers that I brought? Like, is there something else I can bring you? You know what I mean? Like, because I do have that emotional connection to the building, and it makes me sound crazy, but you know, that's why I do this. That's why I am so passionate about it, because
absolutely,
these people have stories, and they have amazing stories, and I'm sorry, there are sad stories a lot, but you know, there's stories regardless, and they need to be told. And we all have the ability to tell our stories, and they don't have the ability to tell theirs. So that's what I'm here for. So I love when people take that approach to it. It really means a lot to me personally when people have that attitude.
I think you're so right. I think that it's our job as researchers, as mediums, as psychics, and I'm just rolling everybody into one umbrella. That's our job, is to tell those stories. It's to connect to those spirits and do them justice. We're their voice. And it's important that we make sure that we always convey that. And I love that you have that same passion for that, because I think that's the thing I think that for me bothers me the most, when I see people being disrespectful to spirit, because that's just so wrong. You wouldn't walk into a crowded place and treat people that way. At least I hope you wouldn't. You're a pretty crappy person if you would. So, you know, why are you going to do, you know, they're not there. They're not circus animals performing for us. They're human beings. They're the essences of what once inhabited a show like ours. And it's so important. And I'm very passionate about that that part of the paranormal research as well.
Yeah. And especially like I'll take somebody through the building and tell them these stories and tell them how poorly people were treated in places like that, and it's just that's the way it was in society at the time, it's just facts. That's how they were treated, and then you tell these people how these people lived, and then they still choose to be disrespectful. Like, were you not listening when you heard how these people were treated? Like, don't do that.
And I think what happens is they get caught up in the thrill seeking and they want experiences, and that's all well and good. We all start out with thrill seeking, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But at some point, if you're going to really be serious, you got to evolve past that. You got to get serious. And I'm going to get on my soapbox for just a second. I hope you all don't mind. But
do it.
The big thing, the big thing for me is I see teams, I see people, and I never throw off on other teams, and I'm not doing that now. But this is, to me, the cautionary tale. When we do residential work, it is so important that you don't do residential work until you understand what you're doing. Because when you go in and you do what you think, whether it be TV or YouTube or wherever you get this ideology, and you go in with that method, you can make things so much worse for people that are dealing with things that they don't understand. You're their last stop, right? They're desperate. They think they're crazy because they're calling you to come in and do it. When you show up with a bunch of gadgets and just want to make spirits talk and perform for you, man, you're doing damage. You are not helping those people. I can't tell you how many residential cases we go in, bring one of our psychic mediums. We go into these cases and we don't ever have to open a case. We don't ever have to take out a meter. We don't have to do any of that. We go in there, we figure out what's going on, we get them answers, we get them solutions, we help them make it tenable. And I can't tell you how many times we've had to come in behind other teams that have wreaked complete havoc. So everybody that sees this, I'm not throwing off on teams. Please don't take it that way. I'm just saying, if you're not, be prepared before you go into that environment because it's dangerous and you don't know what you're stirring up.
Yeah,
sorry, I got on my soapbox, but I can't help it.
No, I think it's super important because
if you don't know what you're doing, don't go into residential places and do stuff.
And I agree, and that's how I feel. I mean, I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just saying.
No, I mean, if your team is willing to take on residential cases, then that means you want to help people. So you need to understand that if you're not doing it correctly, or if you're doing it all willy-nilly, it's not helping people. So you're not following through with your mission. So it is important. It's not, it's not knocking anybody. It's just important to know that.
And you'll never see those residential cases on any of our social media, on any of our YouTube. That is between us and a client. That is private. It's free. We don't charge to do that work, number one. Number two, it is totally about getting them a solution. And we work with them for however long it takes, whether it's 1 trip, 10 trips, 100 phone calls, it don't matter. You see it through all the way through to the end. And that's between you and the client.
Yeah. Well, that's important. Yes, going to like the locations, that could be, your fun time, whatever. But when you're going to a residential, which, you know what, I probably will never do residential. I'm just, because I'm not going to do it right. So I'm not going to try. But
I don't do residential.
Yeah, it's a totally different ball game.
It's a very different ball game.
If you are in it just to have fun, which is 100% fine. Like that's
absolutely.
I'm in it just for me and for the stories.
100%.
I'm not. You don't have to be in it to help people, but if you decide that you are going to be in it to help people, then actually help them. There's a lot more to it than just going in there with your gadgets.
I got jaded, and Ray could say this too, is we were almost used as props, as party.
Oh yeah,
things.
Yeah.
We gotta, we need you guys to come in, and all of a sudden they're like drinking wine, eating cheese, and we're like, what's going on?
You're like a live show. We've been down that road before.
I mean, she had us over. She had us over. She's like, I have this rental property. I'm having a hard time renting it. Would you guys come check it out? So we get there, and her and her friends are hanging out, drinking wine, and we're like, what the hell? What is going on? And they're like following us around, like, make something happen. Like, what do you don't? It's not a switch.
Right.
There's no on and off switch. And honestly, we were there, and I didn't feel anything. I mean, there's no energy there. And I'm not saying I'm a gifted psychic medium, but I am very in tune with energy. Like I can go and I could feel pockets.
Everything's energy.
And you can tell when there's, I could tell when there's something going on. and there was just nothing. And I don't know if maybe they were ruining it, like I wasn't vibing because I felt like I was on the spot.
Like, we both walked in and we're like, this doesn't feel like anything at all.
Yeah.
But we did our thing, but there's been a lot of times though where I get emails or messages from random people. I got this going on in my house, and you know what? I don't know what to tell you. I can give you my opinion,
right?
But I can definitely help you find somebody who can come in and help you.
And see, that's what you're saying right there, Giz, I think is so important. That is, and Dustin kind of alluded to that in his comment, and it's so true. That none of us are experts. If anybody in this field ever says they're an expert, run as fast as you can. None of us are experts. We're all figuring this shit out as we go. And sometimes we get it right and sometimes we don't get it right. And that's okay. But it's important to know your limits, right? And that's the beauty of truly collaborating with people. And truly collaborating with people means learn the people that know more than you and have more experience than you and reach out to them. That's true para unity. I'm so tired of the community throwing around para unity and then stabbing each other in the back and doing the stuff that they do. That's not para unity, people. Para unity and para truth is what we're doing right here, right now, having a real conversation about the paranormal.
Right.
They hide behind that para-unity moniker.
Yes.
Justin made a good point there.
I didn't see it. I was busy. I was on a soapbox.
I'll bring it back up.
Yeah, saying about, a lot of the stuff that we get, I honestly, I try to psychically weed it out because if I'm going into a home to help, a family, parents, and a child that's having serious experiences, which happens, there's a process to all this, and every situation and scenario is a little bit different. So it's very hard, like Justin said, to sit and figure out where you are. But I think for a lot of us, you can intuitively go into it because you're going to feel that need when they're reaching out. And for the ones that reach out just because they want to have somebody like us come out, don't take that time away from the people that really need it and those parents and those children that really need that help. Just be upfront and honest with us if it's not, dire need.
If you're going to do residential work, you've got to have a process, and you got to have a process. You've got to have a process. If somebody reaches out to us, it's not like, oh, we load up the team and run over there. It's a discussion, okay? And then it's a phone call. Then after the phone call, it's an interview. And then after the interview, it's a 40-question questionnaire that goes over everything from mental health, drug use, alcohol abuse, family history, anything that could be relevant to that case that may make it completely non-paranormal, and then what they're experiencing, and then it's debunking what they're experiencing. And then if we deem at that point that it needs further, then it's a walkthrough with the psychic medium and figuring out if there's anything to connect to, what we get intuitively, what we have. If there's something there, then we figure out there's a solution. And 9 times out of 10, like Justin said, it's either unwarranted or it's resolved in one of those steps. I think in the last 5 years, about the probably 20 or 30 residential cases we've taken in the last, let me rephrase that, in the last 2 years, in the 20 or 30 residential cases we've taken, I think I have maybe one that actually warranted us going back in. The others, we never went back in because there was never a need to, because the solutions were either connections with a family member that was trying to get their attention for a reason that was fixed on the mediumistic side, or it was something happening that was related to the house or the property, and it could be explained. And it was, what I mean by that is they were hearing things, but there was other mental health, drug issues, alcohol issues that were causing the issue. So that gets into sensitivities too. So Justin is also right on that. The liability you open yourself up for is huge too. So if you're going to do that kind of work, you have to have insurance, and there's a lot to it. It's more trouble than it's worth in some cases if you don't really know what you're doing and have a passion to do it.
Yeah, and the liability piece you brought up is huge. I was lucky to have a somewhat decent memory, because I was contacted by this lady, and the name and the story sounded familiar, like somebody had posted about it. And a horrible experience he went through with the same person. So I went back to him and I'm like, did you investigate for this lady? And he's like, yeah. And we did everything. About an hour after he left, she called the cops and said they were harassing her and doing all this kind of stuff. And they were there just trying to help her. And she was reaching out, doing this to other teams, and just he wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had the wherewithal to remember what she had told and respond to him, because otherwise she was really local, like basically
she kept emailing us, I think.
Yeah.
And after you were like, no.
Yeah, and she was even getting irate with us, giving us the same story, almost verbatim what she was telling these other teams, like trying to lure us in to get us into some kind of legal trouble. And just
absolutely,
people are you have to be careful. You have to be careful.
We get a permission from the owner, a written permission, whenever residential, even public places. We get a permission form that we have them giving us access to be there and what we're going to be doing while we're there. We have a confidentiality agreement in case we film anything. That's part of it. And we have a reliability release. So that paperwork is done, whether I'm renting a place for the night that's a known place, or I'm going to your house to a residential. If you're not going to sit and fill out paperwork with me, then we don't need to go any further. I can't help you.
Yeah.
Just can't.
That's good.
We have a residential portion of our group, but I'm not part of it. One, listening to all that stuff, I'm not responsible enough to be part of that. I'm not going to lie.
At least you're admitting it.
Yes.
Well, see, our group did start a residential department, I guess you could call it, with our, absolutely involving our team psychic. But almost the minute we started doing that and we started working on our first case is when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And everything shut down, and that just it went by the wayside. If we're going to pick it up, I don't know. I won't be heartbroken if we don't, because it's a lot more hassle than I think all of our team are willing to take on. And I hate saying that because I love helping people. But at the end of the day, I'm just really giving them my opinion. And
absolutely.
If I don't know what they need, there's thank God for this paranormal family. I always have somebody to go to listen, this person needs help, or go talk to this person. Let me get you hooked up with this psychic or this spiritual healer or whatever you need.
Clergy, whatever you need. Yeah.
So,
it's good to have the resources and the connections.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had a case. Well, not even a case. I had a friend of mine. Her son was having some issues at the house. He kept having nightmares, and there was always this symbol that came up in his nightmare. So he did a crude drawing of it, and they sent it to me I'm going to be able to figure it out. I know what this archaic symbol you're dreaming about means, right?
Yeah.
So, luckily I know people, I sent it actually. I'm good friends with Michelle Bellinger and I sent it to her. I'm like, does this look familiar? And she said she had an idea of what it was. It wasn't exactly what verbatim from the books that she knew. And, so I was able to give them a little background. I'm like, listen, I had no idea. I had to show somebody else this. This is what she thinks. It's nothing really to worry about. Our brains function in mysterious ways. And you can think of a symbol maybe you saw in a movie or something, and you're having nightmares about it. She doesn't feel as a psychic, that medium, that this is something you need to worry about. So, but I handed it off to somebody else, or I question other people. There's a lot of
where that kid was drawing the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter thing,
yes,
because they watched case. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter was a 7-year-old.
Wow. Yeah. See, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah, that was one case that we decided to take on because we felt the need, because there was a child involved.
Because it's a kid. Yeah.
Right.
And I was a parent at the time. We wanted to get in there, and she's like, yeah, she saw this, and she shows us the picture of Abraham Lincoln with a bloody knife. I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then we happen to look. Oh, and then it came out in the interview that they had just watched a Vampire Killer. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, you guys aren't getting the correlation there?
You didn't put it together. No.
You don't need to be a psychic to figure that one out. I mean, it's not a glaringly obvious.
It happened.
We had a big aha moment. We were like,
yeah, there it is.
But thank God you did the interview part though, and you caught that. See, I mean, what if you ran down that rabbit hole? I mean, gosh, who knows what could have happened?
Yeah.
Hi, Jeff.
What's up, Mr. Jeff the goat? What's up,
Jeff the goat?
Yeah. Down there in the Bel Air house area. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Jeff.
One of our favorite people. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up because there's so many people out there that I think are doing residentials that probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. And a lot of people
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been asked to come in and cleanse houses, and I'm like, I'm not on that level. I don't. I can come burn all the sage I want. It doesn't mean it's going to do anything for you.
Thank you. There's a process there. Yes, people don't understand that. It's not just lighting sage and opening windows, guys. It's deeper.
Right. Yeah.
It's an intent. It's a big thing.
Yeah. We bought our house like 11 years ago. Okay. And right off the bat, I knew there was something going on here. And this was before my time. You know, now I know people who I could go to ask. But I was talking to a woman and she told me to just light one of those white religious candles and say, "Get out of my house. You're not allowed to be here." Oh my God.
It's so easy. It's so easy a caveman can do it.
It was like my lights were flickering, but not just like flickering, like the light switch got turned like halfway between and it was making that buzzing noise of like the Tesla coils or whatever.
Yeah.
Like my light switch is like bzzz, like and my cabinet doors are opening and closing.
You're like blowing out the candle real quick.
I'm like, I'm just kidding, you could stay.
It's all good.
Something there.
You have to be careful, like who you listen to. I'm so glad I have a good, I have a good network now, but at the time I didn't. So I just took the advice of some random stranger, and it was terrible advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it was so bad.
And you don't know if you're not, you don't know that. You're significant,
I'm like, that sounds easy.
Somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I light my candle and
they probably watched a YouTube video on that or a TikTok and they just ran with it, right? So this is what
just light a candle, child, and throw it out and tell them to go away.
Yeah. Make sure it's pina colada scented.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, you're like of the off chance you are dealing with some kind of dark force, dark entity, you don't know what you're doing. God forbid. I mean, a white candle and saying a prayer.
You're opening up something. You're
preparing,
right?
Something there's already knocking at the door.
You're lighting your sage or your herbs.
Yeah, people don't understand that. Just any kind of, if you don't know what you're doing, any kind of communication at all.
Exactly.
And you reach out.
It doesn't matter if you're using the Ouija board or a tape recorder. You're making an invitation. You're asking unseen, unknown forces to come interact with you in your energy. And once you make that invitation without protection, shielding, without knowing how to do those things, you are 100% opening Pandora's box. And people, that's the danger in what we do. If you're really trying to connect and do these things, it's not about having lights light up on a K2 meter that I can put myself on. Lights light up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unintentional invites.
That's exactly right.
Right?
Yeah.
No. And again, you may think you're doing something positive to rid yourself of that energy or that entity, and you're just opening the door for it to come in. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Big open sign out there.
Yeah. Right. They can see.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think if you do this long enough, at least it's been my experience, if you do this long enough and frequently enough, and you go to enough places and you're opened and you're really connecting with spirit, there are going to be things that will happen to you in this field. You're going to have experiences. You will be influenced, and you will likely at some point have some form of attachment or baggage that you deal with. I've dealt with it. I think we all, if we're honest, have had those moments where stuff's affected us on a level that is way beyond human understanding. And that's a fact of doing this and seriously doing it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I do explain in the second part of my book how those negative influences play out in our lives and in our families. And I have examples of those personal experiences in the book to actually have you watch out for things that can come up. There's different levels. There's different, like Matthew said, there's different things that can happen. And I don't get real dark or real deep about it, but I give you, I think, enough information to know what to recognize and to identify something that is happening that maybe you're not putting the pieces together that we push off as a coincidence or, mere happenings here and there and frequent. So it's interesting how these things can happen.
Yeah.
I want to quote Bishop Long. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bishop James Long, but he is a good friend of ours. Met him at Mid-South and then at Scarefest. We spent some time together, but he's really good. He's a really good guy. He's really genuine. One of the things that he says all the time, I actually sat in on a couple of his lectures. And I actually sat in a couple of his lectures, and one of the things he talks about is, people will go in and they say, "Oh, show yourself," demon, come out here and prove that you're a demon.
Yeah.
And he said they're not going to come out. A demon isn't going to just come out and start, doing.
They hide.
They hide.
They
and
don't
exactly
know.
right, Sky. And they wait. So then 5 years down the road, when you've lost your marriage and your business is burned down and you're sick in the hospital and your entire life is in freaking shambles, that's when that demon said, "Hey, remember me? You invited me. Now
remember
I'm
that
here."
one time?
Yeah.
I got you.
I dealt with it for 12 plus years, you guys. I dealt with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
A portal in my first home I bought.
Yeah.
My family being affected for years. It was infestation first, and then the oppression happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is rare, and this doesn't happen in a lot of, it just doesn't happen a lot. It is more frequently happening now, but this is something that happened to me and my family over a time span of about 12 to 16 years. And like Matthew said, they hide. They're so intelligent. And all they have is time. So if you create
exactly,
these little instances and you say, "Oh, I was just," for an example, I was up cleaning my kid's room. I go up there, he just got done vacuuming, sat all their stuffed animals on the day bed. Yeah. I go back in to grab the vacuum, you guys. All them damn animals are sitting in a circle.
Oh man, no.
Gosh.
I'd have burned the house down.
I was freaked out. Even the eye dogs. There was no batteries in this damn eye dog on her bed, and that damn thing's going off. And I look, and there's a circle of teddy bears.
I'm out. That's what
Are you
I'm
out of there?
I would have burned the house down, man.
Remember the apparition in the beginning?
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can see. I mean, honestly, I've seen my very first apparition I saw. I was a deer in headlights. I didn't run. I was scared. But
Freeze.
You animate something that's not animated.
Yes.
I am gone. I'm not going back. I have a huge fear of dolls. I hate dolls.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. They're everywhere. Every place insists on having dolls. What the hell?
Yep.
I know.
Yep.
Everybody knows every doll is haunted. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, they're on eBay. You can buy them. They're just readily available.
Yeah. They only go for like $5,000.
Yeah. I mean, no problem.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, seriously. Amazon now, just so you know.
Yeah. And that's a bad joke, I know. But I want to kind of touch on something that George is talking about there. And his question is an interesting question. Just a question. And he says it's a little weird. Are all demons bad? First off, and this is my opinion. So that and $9 can get me a Starbucks, I think, unless prices have gone up.
Without whipped cream.
Yeah, see, so not even. So $9.50 maybe can get me when I need Starbucks.
Different levels and different energies of demons.
Yes, and I don't think that, I think if we look at, and this is interesting, if you get seriously into paranormal research, you start studying other cultures and you start studying other civilizations, and you look at any period in time, any culture, and I do a lot of that because I'm a geek and I like that kind of shit. But when you look at any, the jinn in some of the Far East cultures, and they're the same type of energies as what we refer to as a demon. So I think that there's these classes of what are inhumans, and not all inhumans are demons. Not all inhumans are, labeling it by a specific religion. So to George's point, if you're dealing with, say, something Native American, let's say you're dealing with a Wendigo or an elemental, like a Wendigo or a Pukwudgie. Exactly.
Wow.
Yes.
Right at the same time.
When you're dealing with those type of energies, they're not really good or bad. They have a purpose. They were brought forth for a reason, to protect the land, to protect whatever. So if you challenge what they're there for, they don't care about you. They're going to do what they need to do. Now, this again is my opinion. I am not an expert. I'm just giving you my opinion from working, cases that have involved some elemental action. So
and that's what I was thinking too. Like, I feel like it's just like pretty much everything else in this field, and it's whatever you put into it. Like Pukwudgies. Yeah, Pukwudgies are there to guard, Indian burial grounds. Okay, so don't be an asshole when you're on an Indian burial ground, and you're probably not going to have a bad run-in with the Pukwudgies.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's it doesn't make it good or bad. It's just people's experiences are good or bad. Yeah, it's just
absolutely. And I think to Sky's point too, I wanted to hit on this real quick too, because it's also relevant. We are seeing more, and Bishop Long will tell you, and demonologists will tell you, true demonologists will tell you, we're seeing more of this. And this is the negative thing about Googles and TikToks and social media, in my opinion, right? Yeah. So people don't think demons are real. They don't think dark entities are real. So they decide that they're going to go out and prove that they're real by provoking and inviting these things in. And they're doing this to get more likes, because I want to get 100,000 likes on TikTok. So I'm gonna go out here and invite a demon into my living room. Well, guess what you may have just done, right? So if you have to have that invitation, and that's where this whole slippery slope starts. So in my opinion, that's why we're seeing an uptick. And plus just society as a whole, we're in a very, very dark time. So people are feeling energy's bad right now. And that's all of that comes together for what I think we're experiencing globally.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's a hard time for empaths, for sure.
I can imagine.
Right? Yeah.
I'm surprised they're not locking themselves in their rooms and barricading the door. I would be if I was in there.
That's us though.
Yeah.
We're all right. We got each other. We'll get through it.
That's why I have hard. That's why I have this show every Thursday.
Yeah,
right. You're right, dude.
Get out of there.
This is what you do.
And I always say it has to work out it's going to work out because it has to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I always say there's no other way but up from here.
Yep.
Right. It is
exactly some ridiculous. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think too. There's a lot of mislabeling too on this label damn thing again. But I think that sometimes people take inexperienced people take negative interactions with negative spirits as, oh my God, I'm dealing with something dark or demonic.
Yeah.
Once you start learning to process and deal with energy, you will quickly know if you're in the presence of something non-human, demon or otherwise. I promise you will know when you're in the presence of a non-human. I don't think I've ever encountered what I would classify demonic. I've encountered non-humans though. I've also encountered negative spirits, and negative spirits are very palpable. And they're very strong, and they can do some things that you don't expect normally to encounter. But it doesn't mean, again, take Jeffrey Dahmer or Jack the Ripper. What do you think they would be like in energy? Or if you're in a prison, you're investigating a prison. Well, hello, these people in prison were bad people. So we're going to have some dickish interactions here. This is just what's going to go down. I mean, don't be surprised.
Sometimes it's not even negative entities though. Sometimes it's, like we have a room at the seminary where, a lot of women, when they walk in there, will feel like cramps in their stomach. Like, okay, I have 3 kids.
There you go, empathically.
These are labor pains. I've felt them. I feel them every time I walk into this particular room. So, somebody who wants it to be might walk in and go, oh, something's trying to stab me in the stomach, when really it's just a woman who is trying to show you what she lived through or what what happened to her. It doesn't even have to be a negative entity, and people are all taking it as negative. It's not always like that. If you feel chest pain, it's not somebody trying to stab you in the heart. Calm down. Maybe they're just showing you how they died, or that they had a broken heart or something. And
a lot of times, if people feel something negative, I mean, think about your house. Do you want somebody coming into your house that you don't know?
No.
Messing with your crap, touching
asking
your stuff
every day what your favorite color is and what year it is.
I know
you just walk in my house, somebody's taking an ass whipping. You or me, but one of us is taking an ass whipping if I didn't invite you in. That's the way this is going down.
Yeah, there's a reason that I have 2 pistols locked and loaded in a safe.
Amen, brother. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They have a golf club.
So you're exactly right. I mean, that's how spirits feel too. Like, what the hell are you doing coming here and bothering me? Get out, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And then you think about the questions that we ask.
pipe.
I got 80 feet of it.
Like reach with that thing.
Just start your drone. He'll run like crazy knowing the way you fly that thing. Oh, God, he's got the drone out. Bye.
I'm out.
I did, about real quick, I did almost helicopter a couple of girls with the drone when my compass wasn't set right.
Oh, gosh.
They screamed and ducked.
Thank God they were paying attention.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George.
Thank God.
We don't need to act like adults. We can play too. It's okay.
Yeah. If you have a personality, you can be serious about it.
That's funny you said that, because
I'm not that serious.
When Matthew clicked on the link and signed on earlier before the show started, I'm like, just to warn you, we're not a scripted show.
No.
We don't write our questions down.
We're hardly ever serious.
We're hardly ever serious. Yeah. We goof off. Sometimes we get way off topic, and we can spend half an hour talking about food.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're human.
Which I can't believe.
This is
Right.
Yeah, but that's where the best conversations happen, though, right?
Yeah.
That's
Real
when you
deal
get the
here,
real stuff that you want to talk about. That's where the real truth comes out.
We call it back porch talk. You know, whenever we would hang out at the seminary, we'd stay there until 4, 5, 6 in the morning, just hanging out, talking about, different theories and whatever. Yeah, food. A lot of times we talk about and that's what we want the show to be. We want it to be like friends coming, to sit on our back porch and just have a regular conversation with us.
And that's wonderful. I love that. That's the same way we do ours, because that's the one thing that came out of COVID, I think. I mean, if there's one silver lining, I think it's these type of things. I mean, I know you guys have been doing your show for a while, but for us, we weren't doing a show. And really, COVID's what started that. It was a way to connect with people,
Right.
And I think this is the beauty of it. And again, that's also the negative of why a Logitech camera is $300 on eBay right now. But this is the benefit of it, right? Is these connections and these abilities.
Well, the nicest part of the show, basically, because of COVID, I mean, that's how she kind of started. Like we were in the studio.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we went to this. Denise came on and totally rocked the show and took it.
That's awesome.
As much as I miss being in
Denise's show, she just invites us in here every once in a while.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
She was trying to rename it the
show without her now.
Show, but
thanks,
I couldn't imagine the show without her now. So
I would have to do 100% of the talking all the time, but no.
Right.
You guys got
and I always have to go back and rewatch because I always end up teaching while you guys are live on Thursdays, and I'm like, I'm missing it again.
Well, I think you guys
I'm glad you guys brought us on.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's been good to chat with you.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again because apparently it's already almost time to go.
Wow!
Oh my gosh! What happened? Where'd that time go? Fly by when you're having fun.
Well, it's because we watched the silent movie in the middle of it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm just letting it play along. Like, I can hear everything. This is fine, right? Just sitting here watching it, and everybody's going like this. I'm like, what? And then,
we have a couple minutes, Goose. You should redeem yourself and let's get some audio up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'll take more than 10 minutes.
It's gone. Yep.
I shared the web. I shared the page.
Yeah, he shared the page.
Thank you.
Shared the.
There's a couple clips that we got too from our TikToks on our personal and our Facebook business pages that you guys can go check out too.
Oh, cool.
With a clip of me in the meat cooler with some evidence, and I cuss.
Nice.
And it's just like I'm talking to somebody down there. I know there's dead people down there talking to me, and all you hear is what? And I'm just talking like it's me and you talking here, and I don't respond. Cool. I'm just like shit.
Yeah,
I'm cussing because I got to get up and fix the equipment because it fell.
Right.
Nice.
All the time.
Yeah,
I
just want to say real quick.
We got to do bloopers.
Yeah, we are definitely. There's some good blooper stuff in there. I'm definitely going to throw some of that in there on the post-production side. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Randolph County, Dan Allen, and the folks over there. And I want to point out one thing that Dan mentioned when we were there, because it's something you hit on earlier, Denise, that was really potent to what you said or lines up with that. If you talk to them, the spirits, like they're there and not dead, you'll be shocked at how much more you get That's why when you're just doing your thing and running a recorder, you get more EVPs than when you're asking, how did you die? Were you hit by a train? You know, that's the difference, right? So, and that's one thing Dan talked quite a bit about, and he was great. So for folks that want to go check out Randolph County, they're great people. Him and Tim Murphy and his staff, they were really generous to allow us to do this project, and it was really cool to get to do it. So
yes, it was nice to meet all of them.
Yeah.
And I think I got to come out. I got to come check out the seminary there. I think that would be something that sounds like somewhere I need to come see.
Yeah. Next time
you guys in person.
I got
you
a
guys
lot
aren't
of
that
questions.
far from me.
No, we're not that far from you.
Come visit.
It's the best.
Come on out.
Wait, where are you at?
In
we're all north. Yeah, she lives in Madison.
Okay.
Eisenberg and I are from the kind of greater Akron area, so we're in Ohio.
Okay.
Not too far, yeah. I'm here in East Tennessee, so it's a couple hours. I can
that's
go anywhere. I don't care.
A little bit.
Oh, you guys some time. I'll go anywhere. I don't care.
Yeah.
You guys get any of that horrible weather down? God, anybody down there right now, please. I'm sending prayers to you guys hardcore. I know Alabama area got hit hard. Anybody down there, just be safe. And
actually, I don't know if you noticed my lighting change during this, but my lighting dropped down because now my battery powered lights and my computer light and my MiFi is what I'm operating off of because my main power dropped. So we've got storms coming through. I'm getting ready to go back to work, and the worst of it's supposed to hit us about midnight tonight. So
oh my God.
Yeah, we're sending a lot of love, light, and prayers to you guys down south. With the storms.
I get to go back on duty and ride the fire truck for the rest of the night. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm sure it's going to be a busy night. Please be careful.
I appreciate you coming on, man.
Coming on, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure to be here. I really have enjoyed it.
Real quick before you head out, would you like to promote anything coming up? I mean, anything besides the documentary? When can we see that hitting?
I would. Yeah, I'm hoping to get the post-production done on it, and the companion book as well as the doc should drop hopefully sometime in May, unless I run into some hiccups in post-production. Cool. But that's the target right now. We'll keep that updated. Visit www.srsparanormal.com. You can keep up with everything we've got going on. Sky and I have some collab stuff coming up that she mentioned earlier, some classes and the summit. My team is always doing public. Yep.
Awesome.
And we're always doing public events. We were sold out for the next couple we have. You'll be down with us for part of that at the Chester Inn. So we do public events where we actually teach some paranormal 101. Again, it's not the only way to do things, but it's how we do things. And then we take people out and we give them, experience, let them experience really what it's like. And it's fun. And it's, it's what we do. So we've always got stuff like that going on. Also, another thing I'll promote real quick, in 2022, we have a big Paracon that we're putting together called the Hexpo. Nice. Sky will be down there. COVID has delayed it twice, but we have the cast of Kindred Spirits. We've got a bunch. There's a bunch of people coming in. It's a big event that we're hosting in Asheville. That is the hexpo.com. Keep up with all that. So it's metaphysical, horror, and paranormal all coming together and celebrating all of our uniqueness at one big event. So Chip Coffee will be doing gallery readings, so it'd be pretty cool. We've got some cool stuff lined up for you.
That sounds amazing.
Let's keep an eye out for that.
What about you, Sky? Got anything coming out?
This Sunday I have a 3-hour class. Working with your spirit guides. If you guys are interested, it is on Medium at Medium Sky RAYE on my Facebook business page and my personal page Sky RAYE. You guys can go in if you want to purchase that and come join a big group of us. It's there, and then Sky, like Matthew said, we have
Are the classes like you have to take a certain one to go to another one, or anyone can just jump in on this one?
Nope, anybody can come in. Yep. And what I do, like through these, I teach the different types of guides, how they work with us, what their roles are, where our position is, like while we're evolving and growing and learning, and how they change and evolve and grow with us. And then I talk about a little bit about the blueprint, your blueprint, your soul plan. And then I have 3 audio meditations, which is included. If you guys get my book, I know somebody on here said that they went and purchased the book. Thank you very much. I hope that it helps. You guys also have in the book, I have the bonus page, and it says what all the meditations are, what they're used for, how they help, and I'll also be doing those in this class. And then what I do, usually at the end, I do readings, spirit guide readings. I can't do everyone, obviously, if it's bigger group, but I try to keep my groups smaller so it's more personal, because I'm a more personal person, and I'll have more if need be. But yeah, I teach usually every month, and then I pull a lot of people in for collabs, and we try to all help each other, and teach a little bit of everything that we all do.
That's awesome.
So it's always fun.
Cool. That's
and
amazing.
I would strongly recommend anybody get her book. And if you get the opportunity to sit in on her classes, I don't care what level you're at, you will be blown away by what you are capable of with some instruction. I'm serious. If you got any inkling at all to expand your path, she's a fantastic teacher. So highly recommend that you do that. And I would like to invite you all, I think this whole group maybe should want to consider at some point coming over to the gathering, our show, and let's have just a little, round table with some of the people from my team and you all, and we'll kind of cross promote it. So, I'm saying it here live. So you guys could have said no, which would have really made me look stupid, but I don't care. I don't know about that. 2 hours you
I'm gonna watch my gear that day. It would be awesome.
Yeah, we love them.
Yeah, so let's talk about that in the future.
It's been a great 2 hours, guys. I don't know where the time went.
I know, seriously. Wow. Normally the last hour, sometimes the wheels start falling off the train, but this has been an awesome 2 hours. I could use probably another hour or two.
Right.
Continue to talk to you guys, but
see, it's perfect reason to take doing the
exactly.
There,
just let us know, man. We'll be there. We're totally down.
Sounds good, guys. It's been a pleasure. I do have to run, but thank you very much for having me on. It's been fantastic. So I'll let you guys wrap up. I got to get back to work.
And get my
all right. Thank you.
Talk to you guys. All right. Thank you, guys.
We'll see you later.
Have a great night.
You too. That was awesome. Thank you, Sky, for being on. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, I've been wanting to get you on for a while. Yeah, and it's just like I'm so horrible about pre-scheduling people. It's always like last minute, and then because it's like
it happens when it's supposed to, right?
Yes,
that's the way we roll.
Okay,
I kind of feel that's the way. But
we had to talk about Michael's damn drone.
Right.
I know,
when you figure it out, I want to know. Because I want to get one, but I am so scared. I'm gonna spend all that money and I'm gonna crash that damn thing.
Right.
Like,
if I can learn how to do it, anybody can learn how to do it. So
that gives me hope. That's all I need.
Well,
I'll continue to wait for you to figure it out, man.
I'm going out Saturday, so we'll see what happens.
Nice.
All right. So I think that's another wrap, guys. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in tonight and watching the show. Thanks again to Sky and Matthew for being on. Again, make sure you get Sky's book. It seems amazing. I'm going to order it as soon as I get off here.
Right.
If you guys want a signed copy, there's an option also on my personal page.
Okay.
I do have something I can sign for you.
Awesome.
And I usually ship out every Monday. So there it is, guys.
Okay. Very cool. I will definitely be picking up a copy. There's some things that I have question about and I need to figure out. So keep your messenger open. I might be messaging you as well.
It's here. I'm here.
But thank you so much for coming on. Next week, I'm not sure what we're doing yet, as per usual. It'll be a surprise on Monday. So we will spook you guys later. Hey, real quick, if you're local or if you're looking for something to do, Madison Seminary is back open for flashlight tours, public ghost hunts, the whole deal. I will be helping out at Madison. Of course, Denise will be there helping out with flashlights tomorrow night. So super excited about that. And that's it.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Everybody have a good night.
Guys.
Have a good weekend. We'll see you later, Crypto Heads.
Love and light.
Good night.
Right.